How's it going, everybody? This is Ismortah, and this is, I believe, episode 41 of my custom Kingdom Death Monster campaign. And this is Lantern Year 12, and this is the Showdown against the Screaming Antelope level 1. Everything's set up, ready to go, ready to do some combat. Alright, so let's do it. So this is not an ambush of either party, so it's just a typical round of which the Screaming Antelope goes first at the top of the round. And having Bliss be the first monster controller, and everyone's got strength tokens. And as a reminder, everybody has Immortal. I mean, not Immortal. Honorable. Volva has Immortal, meaning can't spend survival at all, and all damage goes to brain damage. And I think that's it. Honorable just means that if I attack somebody from behind, instantly knocked down. I can still do it, I'm just knocked down. Alrighty, I already have a pelt. Cool, so let's do it. Let me make sure this is 10 cards here. Alright, good to go. And what I have underneath is a dead survivor, which I'm going to pick up initially. And then there's a bug over here, and then a lot of acanthus. Full acanthus, actually max acanthus, the most you can have in a showdown at one time. Let's do it. First off, we have Gore. Here's an example of what the cards look like, just so you can see what the card looks like, but don't worry about trying to read it, because I'll read it to you. Gore, full move in the direction the monster is facing and turn to face the closest survivor. Full move in the direction the monster is facing. That's only the here. And then random survivor in range will target. If there's no target, it's going to graze. So to graze, the monster full moves to the closest acanthus plant, which in this case would probably be either here or here, but since it can't see it, the closest one I'd say would be this one. And then it eats it. Alrighty, so now it is our turn. So you do base, center base to center base, so I would argue this person currently is not a threat, but these three are, just so you know. Alright, so I'm going to start with Bliss, actually, and go ahead and try to pick up this, whatever the survivor thing is. So we're going to do that as the first action. Which is, if a survivor moves through the space occupied by this terrain, they suffer brain damage equal to the monster's level. If you move through the space. If you move through the space, you take one. One damage if you move through it? Really? Okay, so I'm not sure I've did that before, but I'm moving into it. So I guess that would count as through it. It's over here. Move through. I'm moving to. I'm not moving past it. I'm moving into it. I'll say I take one brain damage. Sure. All right. So now I roll. We got a 6, which is gain 1 random vermin resource and archive. No, I'm sorry, that's a bug badge. 6 through 10. Gain 3 insanity and 1 skull basic resource. So we get 3 insanity, so now we go from 0 to 3, so now we are insane. And then we get a skull basic resource. So that means I need to reshuffle this deck, because I gun for actually a skull. Which I am not. Here it is. Okay. I'll put it over here to reshuffle. Remember to reshuffle. Alright, so now he can move Or I could do some other ability. I could look at the top. Well, no, I've already done action, so all I could do is move. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's go straight forward. That'll be it for him. Next up is somebody else. So I'm still out of range unless I dash, but I really don't want to dash to just try to get some hits. So here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5 can move. I don't want everyone being in the same line because if he comes through and charges or something, since it runs. So maybe I'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that. And then I'll go ahead and do Can I Circle It? Just to look at the top 2 hit cards and see what they are. Top 3. So we have Restless Shank, Gnarled Horns, and Restless Inner Thigh. So I know at least these first 3 cards is not going to be a problem. Wow, I think I'm doing that in order. God, this one, Degenerating Wound. Whenever the monster moves, it gets a wound. Holy crap. I'll just do it in that order. That's amazing. Of course, I want to crit farm, though, so maybe I won't. Maybe I'll do that last. Oh, but only last 1 round. That's very interesting. Okay. Alright, so that's end of her turn. Next, I'll do I mean, it really doesn't matter. I'm just getting favorable position. The people that want to tank are actually these 2. So I could have her, well, I can have Jer go like 1, 2, 3, 4. That way could rush forward potentially. And then can he do anything else? No. And then Joy could go 1, 2, 3, 4. Just get a little bit closer. That way everyone's in different ramming zones. And maybe just do something like that. Okay. And she's got nothing else she could do. Okay, so that's it for the survivors. It's sort of like getting into position. Alright. Now it's the monster's turn. We got Infested. I don't think I've seen this one before. Again, don't worry about reading it. Let's see if it focuses. Don't worry about it. Infested, it's a trait. So if it was a mood, I could remove it with the harp. But it's not a mood, it's a trait, meaning this is just something that the monster always has unless it says a way that this goes away. Okay? It says, when this comes into play, the monster gains a +1 toughness token. +1 toughness. That's not good. +1 toughness. So it's hard to wound. And then discovering the ticks is gruesome. Roll 1d10 for each survivor. And then stuff happens afterwards. Okay, so a roll for every survivor. So we have Volva, got a 6. Bliss, got got a 5. Joy got an 8, and Jer got a 6. It says, on a result of 6+, suffer 1 brain damage. So on a 6+, you get a brain damage. So both these people don't get brain damage. Jer and Volva get a brain damage. So this goes from 15 to 4 to 14. And then we go from 10 to 9. Okay. And then this is a trait, so it stays out. So next I draw an AI card. And then it says afterwards, whenever a survivor ends their act adjacent to the monster, roll d10. On a result of 1 or 2, they are infested with ticks and get a -1 strength token. So this guy, all of a sudden, became harder to wound. And here I got rid of, the monster tooth to give you plus strength, which is fine, because what I'm trying to do is just crit again with Jer. That's who I want to do all the damage with, actually, is Jer. So that's a trait, so that stays out. So if I'm adjacent, I have to roll to see if I get ticks. But then I also draw another AI card. This next one is another A-level card, actually. It's Crush and Devour. The closest threat in field of view in range. So this person is not in field of view. These 3 are. The closest threat in field of view would be Volva. So it moves, speed 2, accuracy 2, and then before damage. Oh wow, it's gonna do gobbled up. I think that's the first time I've actually seen that. Don't worry if you can't see it. Before the damage happens. So if he hits before any damage happens, it's gobbled. Wow, this could actually be really, really bad, actually. Does she have any evasion? No. The person with all evasion is actually a Bliss. This person. Okay, so it moves. Let me see. How far does this guy move? Scream Out moves 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so barely gets over there. And that's his speed 2 on a 2+. And I don't have any other modifiers. So we got a 3 and a 1. So I'm going to spend a survival. Can I spend survival? No, Volva cannot spend survival. But I could spend the strength token. Because I made that ruling already that you can use this to do a survival action. So I'm going to do that. That way it's completeness. Because I don't even want to chance it. Gobbled up means you go in its mouth. And then it starts chewing you. Like, that's probably like instant death, potentially. So, managed to dodge that, fortunately. That would have been really bad. Because it's got a huge mouth underneath, if you recall. Which, let me show you, just because I was talking about it. See if I can show. Can you see? Its whole underbelly is a gigantic mouth. Alright, so that attack missed. And then it said, here, if a survivor ends their act. So at the end of my act, then I check for ticks. Okay, so that's the end of the monster's turn, now it's our turn. That was actually the only potential survival thing I could... But that was a good move, because that... I mean, a mouth, that's probably like instant death, right? Potentially. But let me check the ruling real quick. I believe this said couldn't spend survival. If it says can't do survival actions, then that could be a different wording. So let me actually check that right quick. I'm looking up Immortal. Because I do the ruling such that it's like I have a different currency to do survival actions is how I play it. Which may or not be correct, but I don't care, that's how I do it. But let me check. I'm pretty sure it does reference to survival, not survival actions. Cannot spend survival while insane. I'm not spending survival, I'm spending strength tokens. Okay. Yep, so that's how I'm going to rule it. That's fine. I'm cool with that. All right, so it's our turn. Now we need to do it as planned. So remember, the plan is A, I need to get these shit away from the monster so it doesn't eat. And then I need to hit once with Twilight Sword, and then I really want to do all the remaining damage with the person with guitars. So this person. Okay, so I'll go ahead and swing first with Volva to try to hit with the Twilight Sword first. Or maybe I shouldn't, because if I do a full move forward, the most I can move is here. And if I move 4 spaces, I can then knock the monster backwards and get a bonus to damage. So actually, I'll actually use this person first. So I'll do a slam attack and do a full move. The most I can move in one direction straight is 4 spaces. And since I moved 4 or more, then I can slam the monster. So the monster goes 1 this direction, and then gets a -1. Wait, was this plus? Was that token forever, or was that, what was that? Okay. So now he gets a -1 toughness until end of turn. So I'll put that there. This one's temporary. This one's permanent while this is at. So now its toughness is back normal for rest around. And then I could then skewer. Do I want to skewer though? I mean, after slam, I can then get +2 strength to my attack. And I'd be speed 4. You know what? Even though I did it, I kind of don't want to. So that was my movement, knocking it back. Actually, that didn't work. When I moved 4 spaces, I had to be here or here. You can only slam if you're adjacent, right? I don't think that actually worked. Yeah, because I'm not adjacent. Yeah, so that didn't work actually at all. I can't do that. Yeah. I had to have stopped here or here to knock it that direction. And a full move would end here. Okay, so let's just not do that. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and attack with Twilight Sword. So that is speed 1, and it hits on a 7+. That is, I'll count it just because it stopped flat anyway. So that's a 3, so that's a miss. And that's a cumbersome weapon, so that was the full action. Alright. Now, I'll go ahead and do the Qatar. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to just do a regular move. Ah! And then it's speed 7, but I can attack with both weapons because of blood paint. So because it's how I got that number, so you know, it's the guitar, you add both together, so it's 4, and then +1 for having the whole set, so it's speed 5. And then he adds 2 to speed because of his traits on him. So that's why it's 7. And I attack twice. So first weapon. I don't even think I have enough dice. Do I? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I think I'm 1 dice short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have to roll addition 1 more die. Okay. The 4 I hit on a 6. So reroll the 4. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 6 hits. So we know the first 3 are good. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. We lucked out. Okay, first let's see if anyone got first strike. They don't. They're all wounds. So I'll do this one last because it doesn't have crit, and I want to farm resources. Remember, that's the most important thing. So I'll definitely do that one last. Then all of these give resources if I crit. I'll do this one last because I have to spend survival. A couple of these have failure conditions too. This one's got knockback, so I'll be totally last. And then this one, if it fails... Okay, so I'm doing failures last, wounds first. Now, why was I doing giant tongue last? Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so I'll do the wounds first, the failures last. And then this one, absolute last, because it does give me a Screaming Antelope resource. And that's what, and I'm trying to carve to get resources, right? That's the whole point of this. So, I'll do them in this order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. All right, so. To wound, my strength is a 6 plus 1 is a 7. These cancel out. The monster's toughness is an 8. And I minus 7. So that means all of these are guaranteed hits. All of them. So that's good. The monster's going to take 6 damage. But I'm trying to get crits. So to crit, my luck is a 4. So it's a guaranteed hit, but if I get a 6 or greater, 50% chance, it's a critical hit. And that's what I want. Because my luck is a 4, and 10 minus 4 is a 6. Okay? So it's a guaranteed wound, but I want to get a 6 or better. Oh, but you know what? This one full moves in a straight line, and that could be bad, because that one makes the person go out of range. Actually, so let's change these a little bit, because then it would be out of range if it did that first. Same with this knockback stuff, but yeah. So anyway, we'll roll for this one first. This one, if I wound, I get knockback 5. This one, if I don't wound, knockback 5. Interesting. So it's kind of like I'm getting knocked out of this regardless, it looks like. So actually, maybe I'm going to change this order up a little bit, do like that. Okay, so I'll do this one first. We got a 5. I needed a 6 or better. So that is a wound. But it's not a crit. And it says on a wound, blood and spittle erupt from the Screaming Antelope's wounded undermaw. If the wound result is even, suffer 1 brain damage. If the wound is odd, gain 1 insanity. It is odd. So Jared gains 1 insanity. It goes from 14 to 15. Okay. Next up, we have Restless Tiny Hands. I'm sorry, that was Giant Tongue that was hitting. Next is Restless Tiny Hands, which is an 8, so that's a critical wound. So that is a wound. And then also it says critical wound, which cancels the failure. Gain 1 Screaming Antelope resource. So we got another pelt. And Twitching Tiny Fingers Rain Down. All adjacent survivors gain +1 insanity. So all adjacent survivors to the monster. So Jer and Volva get an additional insanity. So Jer goes from 15 to 16. And Volva goes from 9 to 10. Okay. Now we got more. Gnarled Horns. We got a 5. That's not a critical hit, but that is a wound. And so since it's a wound, I didn't fail. So that's 1 wound. And then nothing else happens. Next up, we have Restless Shank. We got a 2, so that's actually a miss with the crit, but it's still a wound because I add so much strength. I add 7. 8 minus 7 is 1. So that is a wound. So we've done 4 wounds. And then it says, roll 1d10 for each survivor currently in the monster's blind spot, which is nobody. So it does no knockback or anything, because no one's in the blind spot. Next up is Restless Chest. That is a 9, so that's a critical hit. So that's another wound. And then it's crit, gain 1 Screaming Antelope resource. Spiral Horn, that's exactly what I needed actually. And then Internal Bleeding weakens the monster. The Screaming Antelope gains a -1 damage token. So now the damage it does for every hit is lessened. If I could find the damage token. I thought I had one of everything thrown over here. Looking for damage. Damage! -1 damage. Okay. And then lastly, we have Restless Inner Thigh. That's a 5, so that's a wound, but it's not a critical wound. And it says when you wound, your attack disables the monster's powerful running muscles. The Screaming Antelope gains a -1 movement token. So now its attack is a little bit weaker, and it moves a little bit slower. -1 movement. So it's got -1 movement, -1 damage, temporarily -1 toughness, and for Arrested Showdown, +1 toughness. All right, so with that, just that one person, we've done 6 damage. Because there was such a bonus to strength that they were all guaranteed hits, I'll just roll and see how much I crit. And I crit twice, which is good. And now I didn't do the other, that was just 1 attack. Now it has a 2nd attack. So actually, this monster may actually die in 1 round unless I draw a trap card, which is highly likely because I'm drawing so many cards. Okay. So again, it's speed 7. And I believe one of these said full run forward, but I don't think it happened because I crit, if I recall. Yeah, because when I crit with this, it canceled the wound reaction. Whereas the last one I did the wound reaction because I didn't crit. Yep. Okay, so I just rolled, right? I think I just rolled. I had all the dice, okay. So we got, I hit on a 6. So that's a miss, miss, miss. So that's 3 hits. Restless Shoulder, Giant Teeth, and Palate. Giant Teeth just means nothing. That's only if you had a frail weapon. And I want to crit. So I'll do Teeth, and then Restless Shoulder, and then Palate. But actually, this makes the person move away unless I crit. So actually, I'll do Teeth and then Palate and then Shoulder. Because it makes sense, you hit the mouth, and since you're also hitting the teeth. So we'll do it in this order. So super dense, you could still damage. It just means if you have frail, it would break. But I don't have a frail weapon. All right, so giant teeth. Again, I wound. It's a guaranteed wound because I'm adding so much to strength. But I'm rolling to see if I get the resource from critting. So that's a 4, so that's a wound, but it's not a crit. Okay. Next up, we have the palate, which is a 3. That's not a crit, but it is a wound because I add so much. So I had something that happens if I fail, which I don't fail. Okay. And plus, we actually did our theoretically a free damage because the trait card stays in play. So he actually has 1 less hit point. So actually, if he takes 2 more damage, he's going to die, actually. Restless Shoulder is an 8. That is a crit, so I do another wound. So he's got no AI cards left. And I gain a resource. Screaming Brain. So what's interesting is if I did the same thing with the same luck and was fighting a level 2 Antelope, we would have already gone through half his hit points. It just, when the Antelope attacks, it's going to annihilate. And we have to get through the hunt, right? Remember? That's the other problem, which I've died before. So even though this seems like, oh wow, I'm doing amazing, it's because I'm in this, again, in-between period that I'm overly powerful for level 1, but it's still at a disadvantage for level 2 is the problem. Because I still need stuff to safely get through the hunt and make sure that all my people live, even though you normally don't care, because I have such a low population is the problem. That it's a huge factor. Cool. So we did this. So the monster has no AI cards left. 0. If I do 1 more damage, the monster dies. So I could move in with other people and just go ahead and end the fight. Or I could try to do Jer again to farm another resource off the body. I think that's what I'm going to do, because I should be able to survive another attack from this fucking monster. Unless I kill the monster before infested. That way I don't get -1 strength tokens, but that doesn't really matter since I'm crit farming. So, oh, that's true. You know what? That last damage, I want to get it from the Twilight Sword, because again, remember, I want to level up the Twilight Sword person. It's just a free opportunity to get it. So, yeah, that's what I need to do, actually. So, with Club Person, I could look at AI cards, but there's nothing left. The monster has no other AI cards it can do for the rest of the game. All it can do is either graze or it goes after the closest knockdown survivor in range. And no one's knocked down. That means it's going to graze. That means it's going to heal life if I let it live. Unfortunately. Because see, what happens was now he's just going to do basic actions. And his basic action is he either he looks at the ground. So it's either he eats the ground or he attacks a survivor that's knocked down. But no one's knocked down. So there's no target. So that's interesting. As much as I want to level up Twilight Sword, because see, what's going to happen is the monster is going to move here and eat and heal 1 damage. And then if I'm not doing damage, it's going to keep healing. And the other problem with the Twilight Sword is it's cumbersome currently. That's why it would have been better. I mean, yeah. problem is it's cumbersome. So it's almost like maybe she should have been here. That way I could do a slam move or something. Or have the weapon here and so instead of the bone club, so that means I can use... But see, I can't spend survival is the problem. Moral of the story is, it's hard to wound with Twilight Sword unless I'm starting next to the monster, because Volva can't spend survival, so she can't dash. And it's cumbersome, so unless she has a gear grid that lets her activate and satisfy the condition, she can't attack with Twilight Sword unless someone's adjacent to her. So I don't. Moral of the story is, I don't think she'll be able to ever get in a position to attack, because no one's knocked down, so it's going to move here, and then she's too far away, and she can't dash. So it's like I just might as well kill it. Moral of the story. That's what I'm saying. So I'll just go ahead and do that. Yeah. She is the only one with proficiency, and she missed her chance. You have to wound with the Twilight Sword. And it's a slow weapon, so until the slow goes away, I can't add the speed, which is +1. Alright, so let's go ahead and kill it. I think what I'm going to do is might as well do the person with the blue charm. That way if I happen to draw a trap card, I cancel it. Since I've drawn so many cards already, it's high likely, there's a good chance that I might draw a trap. So I'll attack with Joy. So she'll just go 1, 2, 3 and attack from range. Okay, her speed is a 4. And hits on a 5. So we got 2 hits. We got a 10 and a 5. We got Wailing Slide, which is a trap, and we got Restless Ear. But remember, this person has Unshakable. If you draw a trap, roll d10. On a 6+, I discard the trap and reshuffle the deck. So even though I drew a trap, because I have the blue, I'm Unshakable, it's like I could still get an advantage on the monster potentially. So I roll to see how I do. So on a 6+, it's discarded. 8. Mission accomplished. So now we discard the trap and reshuffle the deck. But I still have this card. Or do I? If you draw a trap, roll d10. Oh, so I should have done this first. I drew a trap, then I immediately do it, and then I reshuffle. Okay. And then I'll draw an additional card. Okay, that's what we'll do. Because it's right, it's immediately when it happens. I believe. If I just go off word for word. You draw a card, you draw another card, you draw another card, I drew a trap, reshuffle. The question is, if you draw a card and it says reshuffle, do you then still do those cards that you've already drawn? I don't know. I'll have to look that up later to see how it plays. I'm just noticing chat. Hey, how's it going, Capivara? Doing great. Doing KDM, a level 1 Antelope, which, as you can see, I'm kind of overpowered for at the moment. But, like I mentioned a little earlier, it's still too risky to do a level 2, however. Because I have some people without full sets of gear, and I'm missing a couple things that are integral for surviving a hunt. So, long story short, this Showdown is probably going to end in the next 10 minutes. Okay, so now I draw another card. So I got Restless Hoof was the other card to draw. Because I said Unshakable, we draw a trap, roll d10, or 6+, discard the trap, and reshuffle a deck. But I still draw another card because I had another hit. Okay, so I got Restless Hoof. Something happens if I fail. So Joy, her strength is a 4 + 1 is a 5. And the monster's strength is an 8. So 8 minus 5 is a 3. So on a 3 plus, I wound, and on a 9, I crit. So 3 to wound, 9 to crit. We got a 4, so that is a wound. We didn't crit, but the monster is dead. So we killed the monster. Yay! Fastest showdown ever. All because of this massive 14 attack from Jer. Because again, had speed 7, but then attacks twice. Alright, so we killed the monster. But it's good to know, because maybe I can abuse that to do level 2s later on, potentially. And like, even if someone didn't have speed 2 from personal stats, it would still be, you roll a 5 twice, so that's still 10 dice. That's still pretty boss. Okay, so we killed the monster, but again, like I said, I think it's stupid that, you know, otherwise I'd drag on the fight to collect stuff that, you know, there's no reason you can't have a chance of collecting after the showdown. So I'm going to have my chance at collecting all of this now. So to pick up the bug, I'm going to do Bliss, who is this person. And that is a 9, which is gain 1 random vermin resource, which is way over there. Opposite side of the table, of course. We get a crab spider. You can archive this to gain 3 survival. And it also counts as a hide and a vermin, actually. So that's interesting. So I actually got another hide. But then I'm going to have the fucking Hands of Heat, as you know, next settlement phase and lose half my resources. Anyway. We might have to look into how we're going to proceed with those. Anyway. Blah. Okay, so now I'm going to collect all of these. And I'm going to have people that have the Screaming Bracers to do so, because they add to the result. So she's going to pick up 1 first. Vulva. 10 plus 2, it's a natural 10. So gain 1 fresh acanthus. Naturally, again, I have on the complete opposite side of the board. So she gets an acanthus. And then she'll go for another one. One plus 2 is a 3. Gain 2 insanity and 1 basic resource. She goes insanity 10 to 12. And gains a basic resource, which I need to reshuffle. Shit. Right, am I reading that correctly? No, not at all. I was reading this. What the hell was I reading? No. Yeah, I was reading Survivor Corpse. Yeah, that's completely incorrect. Completely. She goes back to 10. Yeah, reading the wrong thing. These are all gone. Gain an acanthus. I was like, wait a minute, why am I getting resources off getting fucking herbs? Doesn't make any sense. Alright, so now I'll have Joy do some of that too. She'll go over here. Try picking up this one. 3. That's cocked. I don't mind if it hits stuff, but if it's actually cocked, then I have to re-roll. That's actually the first time it's ever been cocked. 1 plus 2 is a 3. Find nothing, archive terrain. And actually, the other time I rolled 3, so that was a failure also. I only got 1 so far. Okay, she'll try again here. 7 plus 2, now I get an acanthus. She'll try again here. That's That's a 4 plus 2 is a 6. You find some taste and consume it. If you do, get 1 survival. So she goes from 6 to 7 survival. The cap, as you remember, is 8. Volva will go again. 8 plus 2 is 10, so she gets an Acanthus. And then let's have her go again, because the fact that I could gain insanity. Or survival. Well, no, she can't gain survival. That's pointless. Let's have someone else do it. The last one. 6 plus 2 is an 8. That's another Acanthus. So I found 4 Acanthus and got 1 survival. And then also got a crab spider, a skull, a pelt, another pelt, a screaming brain, a spiral horn, and that's without even doing the aftermath. So we already got a lot of stuff. All right, so now we go to the aftermath. That's all done. So let me turn to that page, even though I know what it is. Yeah, I'm not going to turn the page. I already know what it is. I know exactly what it is. Okay, so first, everyone gets 1 hunt experience, but Bliss gets 2 because she's a savior. So Volva goes to 4. Bliss goes to 2 and gets to age 1, so we'll do that. Joy gets 1. And Jer gets 1 and gets to age 1. So Bliss and Jer now do the age story event. Go ahead and do that. Which is 107. And again, I do triggered milestones when they happen, not during the settlement event. That's just house rule. Okay, so I choose a weapon proficiency, and then I roll 2 dice to see what result I'll get, blah, 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 blah. So I'll just go ahead and just do the weapons they have. So Jer, I'll do guitar. I'm cool with that. And then Bliss, we'll do bone club, sure. We'll club. So that means even if this person used the smaller clubs, I forget what they're called now, off the top of my head. Skull cap clubs, I think is what they're called, that I do to stun, can do those as well. Because the bone club is a heavy club, and those smaller clubs are also clubs. Okay, so now I roll for both to get stats. Start with Jer. 6 plus 7 is 13. 13 is gain 1 random fighting art. And then Bliss, a 4 and a 2 is 6, 1 permanent strength. So Bliss gets another strength, so it's plus 3. Whereas Jer gets a random fighting art. And of course, I have it on the opposite end of the table, as you know. So we'll see what fighting art this person gets. And I hope it's something I don't have, it's really good. Because then, like I explained before, I could do Shadow Ritual, which is a custom addition to my campaign, to give someone a random disorder and skip the next hunt in order to share that fighting art or weapon specialization that they have with 3 other people. The fighting art is Tumble. Which, if I recall, was not that exciting. I'll show it to you. Tumble. When something would collide with you, roll d10. On result 6+, you successfully tumble out of harm's way instead of getting collided, and you're adjacent to it. So actually, this might be good if this person actually uses if they get the whole leather set, because that means you can't be collided with if that would cause a bash. And then you can pick everyone up with the rawhide drum, potentially. Okay, so I'll scribble this down later, but Jer gets Tumble. Okay, so that's the age stuff. Now we do weapon proficiencies. If someone had a weapon, if someone got one of these blue tokens during the fight, the only person that could have gotten it was Volva, but she didn't wound with the Twilight Sword at all. That kind of makes me think in hindsight, maybe I should have just kept trying to hit with the sword until I did, and then wound. I just didn't think it'd be an explosion of flavor. So no one gets weapon proficiency. But people learned weapon proficiency, got strength, got a fighting art, got some more hunt experience. Now we do rewards. So the first thing in the rewards is this: anyone has 20 or more insanity. When the Screaming Antelope wails, when it dies, they go super insane. No one's at 20 insanity. Jared's at 16, Volva's at 10, then we have 3 and 4, so that's safe. So now we do rewards, which is 4 basic resources and 4 Screaming Antelope. The basic resources I have to shuffle, as you know. So we'll do that last. First we'll do 4 of these, which is already shuffled. So we got shank bone, beefsteak, and a shank bone. So we got kind of screwed on getting hides, but we also got hides, some other stuff prior. So if you look at the law of averages, it averages out. So we got 4 of these. Now I just need to shuffle. You okay, Zaire? He's coughing. Not good. See what 4 basic resources we get after I shuffle. As you know, again, since it looks like I have 1 organ, 1 hide, and a bone, I know I can innovate. So now I just want to get as many hides as possible, so I can upgrade the leather worker. But as you know, I'm going to lose half of my resources from the fucking Hands of Heat, which I'm still not 100% if I'm playing it correctly, because the wording is kind of missing clarity. Because it says roll on the table, but you can't just roll on the table. You have to nominate a survivor, and then you nominate a survivor only after you've discarded half your resources. So I think what it meant is you do the celebration and get the bonus, the benefit of it. You just don't do the experimentation. That's how I've been playing it. Is that right? Who knows? And my cat just threw up on the floor, looks like. I have to clean that up. It's awesome. You okay? Poor guy. Okay, so these are the 4 that we get. I'll check on him after the stream. All right. We lucked out. We got another love juice, so I can have free bonus population. And we got 2 monster highs and a broken lantern, which is good because I need scraps occasionally to do stuff. All right. So that's it for the rewards. Now to show you what everything we got in total, and then that's going to be the end of the stream, which weirdly was pretty short. It was actually just 2 rounds of combat, which is good to know going forward. So I just know that if I have a way to mitigate defense, that could be explosion of flavor and kill stuff effectively. It just, I have to also make sure I can absorb hits is the problem. I know I can deal it out. I know I can definitely kill a level 2. It just, can I survive a level 2 without losing people is the problem. Because like I said, right now I have such low population, I can't lose people for any reason. That's the problem. Whether it be the hunt or the showdown. Okay, so what do we get? Let me try to see if we can put some sort of order to this madness on what I got. Got a lot of stuff. Hold on a sec. I'll count that as a hide. I'll just sort it by type, since I got so much stuffies. Okay. Okay, so let's see, what is the count in total? Okay, so in total, I actually got 18 resources. So we got Spiral Horn. As you know, I needed to make the headpiece for the set. Got a Skull. We gain this, the Survivor of Choice gains 1 Insanity. So, of course, I'll give that to Volva, because I want she tanks Insanity damage. I got Shank Bone. Got 3 of those. Pelt, which I need to make the other piece of the set. I need 1 of them. I got 2. Monster Hide, a couple of those. Crab Spider, I can archive to gain 3 survival by consuming it, or I can use it as a hide, because it's a hide. So you notice, like, on stuff that triggers stuff, resource you have, like, this counts as a hide, a vermin, and consumable. So if something target consumable, this would go away, or a vermin, or a hide. Love Juice, which I'll use just to trigger intimacy, of course. Screaming Brain, which I think has some usage later in the game, with like Plumery and stuff, if I recall, or other facilities, so that might be interesting to keep. But it's an organ. Beefsteak, got 1 of those. Broken Lantern, which counts as a scrap. And Fresh Acanthus, got 4 of them, which you could fully heal a location if it was during the showdown. Otherwise, you can turn the Dried Acanthus so that you get +2 survival when you depart, as well as if you would get a severe injury somewhere, you archive the Dried Acanthus in its place. So it's like it saves you from 1 potential death scenario. Cool. So what was it? 18 resources, if I recall. A lot of shit. Which is good, but it's also bad because if you divide by 2 with a higher number, it's more stuff you get rid of. But we got a lot of shit. So that is it for the stream. I know it's really short. Again, it's like my skill level right now, it is nebulous in between because I have a lot of offense, but not quite enough defense in the showdown and survivability in the hunt to successfully pursue a level 2. I also have really low population. Again, it's the other problem. Well, thanks for watching. The next episode is going to be Lantern Year 13, the settlement phase. So tune in to see, I guess, what resources I get rid of during the Hands of Heat and see if I can actually get rid of that fucking tradition because it's killing my tribe, losing all these resources for nothing. Anyway, there'll be some exciting story stuff that happens in the settlement phase, so tune in and see if I can't start getting ahead of the curve. Because the thing with this game is, even though it seems like you're doing well, stuff gets progressively more difficult. So if you're not prepared for those new beats, it just could be a losing battle. So I gotta keep it up. I can do it. Again, this is Ismortah. I'll catch you next time.